Hey Instagram, so I want to kind of go through the post I did earlier about my client Matt's diet and into reverse diet. A lot of guys I see end up in this limbo when coming to us. They're not as lean as they want. They don't have the six pack that they can be proud of taking their shirt off at the beach, but at the same time, they're not as big as they want. And they end up trying to do everything and in turn, achieving very little. So in this, the first goal that we had with Matt was to make that choice. What were we going to do first? Because if you try and do everything at once, as I said, we don't get very far. Our aim, we were in the middle of a lockdown here in Hong Kong. This guy lives here in Hong Kong. And we realized that we really didn't have the access to the amount of load and gym equipment that he really needed to put on some tissue. So our aim with our training was to improve execution, improve some niggles and injuries that he had, to allow him to build that base, build a little bit of tissue, but something we can ramp up when the gym's ever opened again. So because of that, we wanted to use this time to focus on his nutrition, get some structure, and allow him to get a little bit leaner. So he went into our reset phase with the goal of getting his first six-pack within the first 10 weeks and allowing us to improve physically his stability to get rid of some injuries and in turn improve some of his health markers, energy, and things like that. And this, as you can see, was the result of the whole thing, but he got really shredded and really lean within that first 10 weeks. We had to work around a few injuries, but he got to a point where he was more stable and he can lift some load. So I want to sort of go through some of the data and just sort of highlight some of the key things that helped Matt get this crazy result and what we did with him. So the first thing you'll notice here is that the attention to detail Matt had with his tracking was absolutely phenomenal. There is a massive difference between people that take true ownership of their goals and people who sort of half-ass it and try and throw shit at the wall and hope it works. Matt took true ownership. He got logged every single meal. He made, when he had a slip up with his diet, he was open, totally honest, had open lines of communication. So he always had things to work around. So as you can see here, in this time now down to 77, down to 71 within that first 10 weeks. And now coming up, he's sort of sitting around the 72, 73 mark. So he's only 2 kilos up on his lowest weight when he was sub 10% body fat. But his food has gone from 1,700 calories to around 700 to 2,000 calories, all the way up to almost 3,500 now at this stage. And essentially what we did, we started him at, roughly at around 10 calories a pound, got the base layer in his program, and then just sort of worked with him through each check-in to fine-tune it, one, for results, but also how he was feeling. One of the big things Matt struggled with during this time was hunger. We focused a lot on things like food volume. We increased protein a little bit to make sure we managed his hunger well. We made sure he loaded his plate with veggies, and we just found solutions for working around things like weekends and times when we had slip-ups. How do we manage those to mentally stay on track with the diet? And if we notice here, with his circumference measurements, 86 around the midsection. At sort of his lowest, he was 75, so 11 centimeters down off that midsection. And in fact, 74. So at this stage now, he is leaner than he was with his diet around that midsection, but eating 3 times as much food. And that was just from looking at this data, assessing things as we went, and we brought that then from around 2,000 calories where he ended his dieting phase, and then we built that up further, a little bit more aggressively going into a replenish phase where every other week we're increasing calories mainly from carbohydrates until he's got where he is now. So that's sort of the main thing here, and you can see here with this consistency of food now he's been allowed to, with a couple of days where he's gone over and we managed those as we went, he has been consistently increasing food all the way through this process whilst getting leaner. With his training, you can see here this big steep increase in training volume as we started to increase the food. We knew in this stage early on it was going to be about execution, working around lockdown, and sometimes we had to work on injuries and niggles, throwing in different sessions here, throwing in things to work around some of those issues that we faced as he got stronger. And now we're in a position where we can start really ramping this training volume up. And we've got room to maneuver here because the gym's open on the 21st, and then he can go in and really build upon these foundations by adding load to this as we increase that food and look to put on some tissue in the next 6 months. So a truly phenomenal output here, and we can still see the same thing with his activity, which we've now brought that target down to make sure we can maximize his recovery, energy, and focus on some other priorities in life. So that's a quick overview. If you guys have any questions about the work we did with Matt, please drop us a DM, let us know. We'll be happy to help out wherever we can. And I'll speak to you all very soon.